How's it
Morning,
going?
Chris. How's it going?
Oh, good. I must confess, though, I know it's called Contracts and Coffee, but I actually have a mint tea because it's 5 p.m. where I am. Sorry. Well, we've both been to a few different events recently. So I've been to more in-person events recently than online. I've been to a couple online, and I am going to stretch it slightly and talk about one that I went to in December 2025 too. Um,
Yeah.
but it'd be great to get your point of view on what you're seeing on some of those events, and I guess what's coming up too. Sound all right?
Yeah, let's go ahead. I think that'll be a good conversation. Let's share a coffee or share a tea and let's get started here.
When it comes to generally AI and legal, I have seen more of a shift recently towards a degree of optimism, and people wanting to be informed and armed, and them talking about prompts, like using actual AI language about prompts, for example, and thinking about how they can be used, and people talking about specific tools, whether it's Copilot or ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini. People seem to be actually using them.
No, I hear that. We've been doing a lot of in-person events out here on the West Coast as well. We had an event in San Diego with ACC, and then I got back from a general counsel forum in Dallas. And I think, I almost see it as there's two different types of companies that we're working with. There's the ones that have adopted a lot of legal tech in the past, and I think the conversation around leveraging AI is more focused on, hey, can we use this to replace a lot of the other tools that we're already using today? But then there's the flip side where, you have a lot of individuals that may be late adopters into legal tech, and their questions are more around privacy, security, allowing the business to, self-source a lot of their use of AI. And I think that really leads to, you know, a big issue specifically, but there's been a lot of interesting conversation around not only privacy, but also just how to best adopt AI solutions, really from everyone in the market.
I actually found that was a bit missing from the most recent ones I've been to around security. Like
Yeah.
I was one at one last week called Being Human by Claire Sanders, and I think nobody really mentioned security, and most people seem to be au fait with the idea of when right now, if you use AI in if you're paying for it, and it goes in a secure tenant and things like that, none that didn't come up. But I did notice that I'm going to an event called Legal Geek, which is in Amsterdam in a few weeks, and they've got quite a number of sessions on like the AI Act, the European AI Act, EU
Yeah.
compliance and governance. But you mentioned it about the US ones you've been speaking about, so I was interested to hear, how much of a topic that was.
It was a very big topic at the ACC event we went to. And I think the big concern that a lot of people have is there's so many AI solutions out there. And obviously you have your enterprise wide solutions, but then you also have, your free trial, your individual pay for plan usage. And people are very worried about individuals pumping sensitive information into a lot of those maybe not enterprise secure systems, and really have no sense of, one, how they can control the rest of the business and what they do with AI, but two, you know if people are going to use it, how are we ensuring that they're using not only the system that the company has selected, but also they're making sure that they're using it accurately and making sure they can get as much information out of it as possible.
Is that sort of legal playing the role of deciding what a business should use and when that is acceptable in different scenarios, or is that legal talking about how they should use it themselves, or both?
Yeah, I think it's a mix of both. I think from their own perspective, typically if a company is vetting out a solution, usually legal or compliance is going to be involved in the security scope of that new solution.
Yeah.
Now, when you have so many systems out there and it's kind of unknown what everyone is using, I think that's where the main concern is, hey, do we need to standardize and ensure that everyone is using, our enterprise grade solution? Or, with the solutions that we do decide to purchase, I think there has been a lot of conversations on, just a lot of unsuredness on if their data is entering those systems, is it being used to train additional models? Is it being shared outside of their own, ether of their tenant from that piece? So almost two pieces to that, but I think it's complex.
What I hope comes out this year, in 2026 and maybe a bit beyond, when it comes to the role of the business in, sorry, the role of legal in business, I'd like to see more optimism around the transformation that legal can play. So a lot of it up until now, I think, has been AI has happened. Here's how legal is adapting to it. But there doesn't seem to be, at least from what I've had so far, maybe, Legal Geek, there's a couple of sessions around implementing legal tech in a way that drives value and AI enabling legal teams. But to sort of shift the gear in terms of how can legal adopt AI to then lead some change rather than be reactive to change.
Oh yeah, I'll jump in and take that too. I think we're seeing the same thing, and there's a couple different areas in specific that I'm seeing. Obviously, I think traditionally, the legal team has been seen as a cost center and a
Mm.
bottleneck for a lot of businesses. I think the rise of AI, the support that it provides those legal teams is really allowing them to do their job faster, but also have a way better picture of how much time it's actually taking them to do a lot of this work. And that comes in with a lot of the analytics around some of these other tools. So really giving them, a standard ability to go to the rest of the business and explain, a lot of times negotiation isn't only held up on this side. We're still waiting on the counterparty. But if you don't have, the data behind to back that up, it makes it very hard to have that position. I think what we're seeing a lot here on specifically in the US is, legal GCs, CLOs are taking on a lot more responsibilities throughout the organization. And with the rise of, AI committees, AI groups within organizations, legal making sure they want to have a voice in some of those committees, and that decision making has led to, the role of legal expanding far further from, where they've been 6 months, a year past from now.
So that if they're better connected, as it were, within those areas of the business that are talking about AI, I guess they can also have more of a guiding hand, in that
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, not only being there as a resource to understand legality, risk tolerance with a lot of these other solutions, but starting to pave the way from a legal perspective and making sure that their needs, which are often pretty similar to what the rest of the business needs, whether we're talking about efficiency or increases in productivity, um, that doesn't have to just span in individual departments across the organization. Chris, I don't have much more. I appreciate the time. Thanks for sharing a coffee with me today, and look forward to chatting again soon.
Yeah, good to see you, Zach. Thanks.